Right, this is Zimbabwe Live TV, and this is face to face with Dr. Manyika. Dr. Manyika, welcome to Zimbabwe Live TV.
Well, thank you very much.
Right, you've had a meeting today in Wolverhampton, and I believe this was your first ever meeting with Zimbabweans that are in the diaspora here in the UK. What was the aim of this meeting?
Well, the aim of this meeting is just to continue sharing with people about the Build Zimbabwe Alliance and the plans that we actually have for our country, and to ask for their support. I've actually said this over and over again, that the political change that we need in 2018 and the responsibility that we have to rebuild our country requires us to accomplish an unprecedented mobilization of Zimbabweans wherever they are.
Right.
Every Zimbabwean is needed.
Right. I know we just sort of came out guns blazing here, and we started talking about the meeting that we had and Zimbabwe, Build Zimbabwe Alliance. Let's go a little bit back. I know a lot of people in the diaspora might or may know you now because of the campaigns that you've been doing and the social media campaigns that you have been doing. But what is Build Zimbabwe Alliance all about? What is this? Is this a political party? Is this a movement? What is this?
It's a political party. We registered as a political party in October of 2016. But what it started as was, I just felt that what we needed to do in Zimbabwe is to change our mindset. And I started, just engaging people, and this has been going on for a number of years, trying to build this mantra, that our responsibility as citizens is really to build Zimbabwe. Right. And I did that for many years, and then when the protests started last year, I actually started messaging in a much more focused way, and at that point we really became a social movement. And then in October we decided that it was time to really instrumentalize the process. You've got to be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish with your protests. I mean, you can't just go on pointing out problems. You have to really engage the system.
So at the moment, because I've been reading up a little bit on you, and I found out that you are the convener. Is that the title that you're using?
Yes.
Convener.
Yes.
So if this is a political party, you're the convener. A lot of Zimbabweans might think, oh, is he the president? Is this one and the same thing?
No, it's not one and the same thing. So it was an idea which started with me, and I've led the development of this vision. But I want to be totally respectful of the democratic process. Right. So when we have our national convention as a party, I am going to seek the nomination of the Build Zimbabwe Alliance for president. So because of that, I don't want to have an unfair advantage by calling myself the founder or the president of the party. That is really presumptuous, actually. So what we are doing is following the democratic process. In July, when we have our convention, I will seek the nomination of the Build Zimbabwe Alliance for president.
Right. So right now we don't have that much time as before the elections in Zimbabwe. The elections are in April next year, I believe, and that gives us a little over 12 months now to go. Now, with you having this Congress that you're going to have and you seeking that nomination at that Congress, would this give you enough time to be able to campaign and take Zimbabwe, if we put it that way?
Well, to be honest with you, I measure time in terms of commitment. I don't measure time in terms of months. It's commitment. If we as Zimbabweans are actually committed to bringing about the change that we want in 2018, and if we are committed to rebuilding our country, even if it's 5 months away from the election, we can do it. And what I'm actually encouraging the people in Zimbabwe to become are not fans of those people who are trying to bring about change, but the commitment of the Zimbabwean people to bring about the change that we all know we need. Our country is broken, and we need that change. And so it doesn't matter, even if it's like 2 months away from the election. Commit to actually bringing about the change that you want.
Right. There's a lot that you've done. I've watched a couple of videos that you've done in Zimbabwe, and you've gone around the country, and you've gone to places like Zisco Steel in Kwekwe, and in Bulawayo you went and visited Egusileni, which white elephants, things that have are evidence of the dysfunctional government that we have in Zimbabwe. Now, from what we've just said here, I take it you are putting your hat in to run for president of Zimbabwe.
Yeah, in the event that I'm selected by the BZA Alliance as their candidate, yes, I will.
Right. So in the event that everything goes through and you stand as president, what experience is it that you have that is relevant to the office of president of Zimbabwe?
Well, you know what, the office of president of Zimbabwe, this is a person who actually presides over very, very common sense. It should be common sense policy making on behalf of our people. And I've done a lot of work in community development. I've started a lot of social enterprises and all that. But you know what? What really qualifies a person to be a president of a country, apart from the age, that is stipulated in our constitution, and the fact that you're a Zimbabwean citizen, is your commitment to your country, and the ability that you feel you have to bring people together to actually accomplish the goals that you have. And I'm not going to start campaigning right now, but I can tell you we have a plan.
Yeah.
And the plan that we have as the Build Zimbabwe Alliance is business resuscitation plan. We absolutely have to resuscitate our businesses, and we are also focusing on the provinces. We're saying, look, in order for Zimbabwe's economy to function, we have to awaken the economies of the provinces, and we are going to engage Zimbabweans everywhere in the world to say, listen, how do we actually resuscitate the economy of blue whale? Think about this. When it comes to service delivery in our country, the reason why our local authorities cannot deliver services is because they don't have the money to do so. And those provinces do not have functioning economies. And we have people, even in running cities right now, who don't understand the value of the local economy. I was giving an example to the guys here today about the Ascot racecourse in Blue Whale, for instance.
Yeah.
People don't understand that used to be an economy. This is not a situation where isn't it a balloon, it's a white man thing. No.
Yeah.
It was an actual economy in Blue Whale. There were people who were employed in the farms that used to raise the horses. There were vendors who used to sell stuff at the racecourse in Blue Whale.
Yeah.
The hotels in Blue Whale used to thrive because of all the events. And then even the airline was benefiting because people would come from all over the world to the events which were at Ascot. So, there's a need for leadership that actually can make those connections, understands the importance of local economies and the local initiatives when it comes to contributing to the national economy. So we have a plan, and we are going to implement that in the event that the people of Zimbabwe choose us.
Dr. Manyika, you actually talk the talk here that I think a lot of Zimbabweans would want to hear, because there's a lot of things that have been going on, a lot of things that have gone wrong in our Zimbabwe, a country that we're all passionate about. We love Zimbabwe. But here's the thing. Zimbabwe has become synonymous with the word corruption.
Right.
And corruption is now the cancer that is killing our nation.
Right.
How do you propose to cure the country of that corruption?
That is one of the toughest tasks that we're going to have to really focus on. Remember what happens when you have a broken system, everybody becomes complicit in it. There are Zimbabweans who do not support the political establishment right now, but who bribe policemen because they say, well, you know what, I don't want to be delayed where I'm going, so I'm going to bribe. And then there's even the justification of what is going on with the police, and they say, well, you know what, even the policemen, they have to eat too, and stuff like that. So it has become part of our culture.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that it's not going to be easy. It really isn't going to be easy. But we've got to tackle it. And we've got to persuade the Zimbabwean people that there is another way. We have to. And that's something that we're committed to doing, engaging people on a day-to-day basis. But you know what? The other very, very important thing as well is that you must provide alternatives for people so that they're not so caught up in the struggle to survive that they start, getting involved in criminality to do so.
Right.
And the way you do that is you make sure you open up Zimbabwe for business. You have to. We can't continue pretending that we can survive on just the talk about sovereignty. We need companies to actually be functioning. And we need those farms, by the way, which are not operating at an optimum level to really operate again at an optimum level. So it's not going to be easy.
Right.
But it's got to be done. We've got to persuade the Zimbabwean people that there's another way.
So this is not going to be a 100-day plan to to sort of eradicate corruption, it's a process that would have to educate the people.
Absolutely. It is a process. It is a process. But I truly believe, though, that if people see that you as leaders are actually committed to the kind of leadership that is not corrupt, you will begin to make inroads. You know, it's not like the people of Zimbabwe just want to be corrupt.
Yeah.
There are reasons for that corruption right now. And, you know, the struggle to survive has just become so intense that, you know, people sometimes are left with few choices.
Well, yeah, I've got a few statistics here for you. We often hear people say that the unemployment rate in Zimbabwe is over 80%, 90%. We have all these numbers, these figures that they're throwing about. And with that in mind, if you then think about it, that we then hear that the government is abusing taxpayers' monies and all sorts of things like that. If the unemployment rate is that high, how much tax is the government left to even steal?
Yeah, you know what, we really don't have a tax base right now, you know, to speak of. That's one of the reasons why you find that every opportunity that the government has to get more money through, you know, there were some people who were involved in the fuel business, for instance,
yes.
And they were telling me that the license for a fuel license, you know, it quadrupled within no time at all. Every opportunity that the government has to find money from somewhere through jacking up the prices of licenses, or even the desperation that you see with the policemen being out on the ground and giving fines to everybody who doesn't have a radio license and all that.
Yeah.
That has really become the government's way of raising money, and that's unfortunate. And then some people suggest that there are other nefarious ways also that they're doing it through the banks and people's deposits and stuff like that. You know, we don't know whether that is factually true or not, but there is that desperation by our government to get money from people. And now they're even talking about, well, let's find ways of taxing Zimbabweans who are non-resident, you know, and all that talk. That's what happens when you kill the goose that lays the golden egg. You know, when you kill the economy, you kill the legitimate means to sustain yourself as a government, and that's the problem.
Now we're looking at. I like what you're saying here. We're looking here at. You've given examples of Ascot, right? There's just been a big racing event here, horse racing event here, and I see that it generates a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But here's another question that is coming our way now. It's are you looking to create more public sector jobs, or give the private sector a free range if you come in as Build Zimbabwe?
Yeah, you know what? We have got to give the private sector room to do what they do best. It is the private sector that creates institutions, companies, and so on that create jobs for our people. And you know what? Yeah, there will be a private public partnership and all of that. But if we depend on the public sector to provide jobs, we are in serious trouble. And we are on record as having said we are going to significantly cut public spending. We want to reduce the size of our government from 30-something, the cabinet, to 14, of the most essential ministries. Get rid of all the deputy minister positions, for instance, and even when it comes to the public, to the legislature, we want to revert to pre-2013 levels, where we had 150. I mean, now we have 350. I mean, why do we need 35 representatives per province being paid out of the public coffers and so on? So we're really, really determined that we should reduce non-productive public spending by cutting the size of government. But where the government can participate in business, and I even hesitate to go there, because government are usually very bad business agents.
Right. So now just moving on. There's two important questions that I need to ask you before we go off air here. Two important things. The first one is relating the abuse that has been in Zimbabwe, rampant abuse and criminality against humanity. So we have war crimes or even crimes against humanity that have been committed in Zimbabwe. And as a person that grew up in Matabeleland, what comes to my mind is the Gukurahundi.
Yes.
And as somebody that is aspiring to lead Zimbabwe, that question will be asked at some point.
Yes.
And I thought maybe I'll take the first stab at it.
Absolutely.
Now, if you were to come in, how would we deal with this issue? Because the current government in Zimbabwe has swept it under the rug for so long, and people are still very much touched and angered about what is going on. And so, what are we going to do as people that are trying to build Zimbabwe to deal with this situation? Do we just forget it, or do we bring some of these people to book?
Well, here's what you start by doing. You must put in place a government that you can talk to. You must put leaders in government that you can talk to. Because at the basis of this must be an understanding by whoever is in power that a wronged Zimbabwean, one who actually feels like something terrible happened to me and so on, does not become an optimum citizen when it comes to productivity. Because you have this issue that is unresolved. So the very first thing that I think needs to happen in Zimbabwe is all the people of Zimbabwe, including the people in Matabeleland, including the people in Mashonaland, including whoever has been wronged, but who is a Zimbabwean citizen, exercise your right to vote and put the right government in place. A government that can talk to you. And a government which can also mobilize the people of Zimbabwe to deal with some of these very serious issues in a way that respects the victim, but also enhances our national contract. And my commitment would be that, put in place a government that you can talk to, and talk to that government, and make sure that also that government can create an atmosphere where some of these things can be dealt with to the satisfaction of victims and also to the satisfaction of the whole nation.
Now, here's my other question, which leads on from that one.
Yes.
It is, the military generals in Zimbabwe are on record as saying they will not salute anybody that has no war credentials. Now, I take it some would look at you as somebody that has no war credentials, which is something that is only unique to Zimbabwe, I guess, when it comes to political leadership.
Right.
That they seek or try to say that the narrative that is there is you have to have war credentials to be a president or to lead the country, and for the military to salute you. Now, this very military that we have, in the event that we all rally around and we say this is the man that we want to lead us, and we vote you in and they refuse to hand over power, what do we do?
Well, there's an assumption that is made about the military, which I don't believe is necessarily correct. The assumption made about the military is that the statement made by one or two people is the general feeling of the entire military. You must understand that we're 37 years after independence. A lot of the people who went to war are no longer even there. A lot of them have retired. There are a lot of senior officers in the military who didn't go to war. Right. So that's not the consensus of the military, that they are actually not going to do what is their constitutional obligation, because in Zimbabwe we don't have military rule according to our constitution.
Right.
The military is absolutely subservient to the political authorities. So I think that assumption that this is the general feeling by the military is not correct. What happens every time that there's a political contestation, like we always have when there's an election, there's always somebody who says something, and that is usually the stuff that is amplified. Think about all the military officers who are quiet, who haven't said anything. Right. Think about all those military officers who are also saying, we are suffering as a result of this dysfunction. Right. And there are many.
So this dysfunction is affecting all of
everybody. So right. I am not as pessimistic about the military as some people are. There are individuals, obviously, where there are reasons to say that, but I don't think that is the general feeling of the military.
Right, Dr. Manyika, just to round this off, Zimbabweans watching out there may have one last question. Why should we trust you?
That's a very, very good question. I don't think it's about trusting me. I think it's about trusting yourself. Right. Yeah. It's really not about this invitation that we have as the Build Zimbabwe Alliance is not necessarily for you to just go behind the person. It's for you to participate in the political process. Trust yourself. Actively participate. Actively seek to run for office, and actively seek to vote. And look at all the candidates on their merits, and ask yourself a tough question. When you get into the voting booth, who do you think can actually deliver for me? And if it's not me, and you find somebody else, that's great. But trust yourself.
When are you going to unveil the other? Because right now we know Build Zimbabwe Alliance, and at the moment, when we look at that team, we're looking at Dr. Manyika there, and it sort of doesn't have any other person that you're running with.
It actually, oh, you mean like a running mate?
No, it's just your team.
Oh,
at the moment, the focus is just on
No,
Dr. Manyika.
Actually, if you go onto our website, you're going to find several of our national executive on there as well. But here's the interesting thing about what we're doing. We are identifying 210 candidates to run in all the 210 constituencies in Zimbabwe, and providing training for them. And guess what? We already have 152 who have signed up. So there is 152 plus me already, people who are actually part of this. So there's a lot of people, lot of people right now. We are encouraging some of these candidates to even open Facebook pages and so on and so forth. But yeah, we already have 100. By the way, about 3 weeks ago, we actually launched our training for parliamentary candidates in Harare, and we had all 29 candidates for Harare present. We're now taking it to the different provinces. So no, it's not about me. It's about all this, the entire team.
There you have it, Zimbabwe. Build Zimbabwe Alliance is now an alternative. It's there for you to choose. I mean, I've heard many Zimbabweans say, who do we vote for? Who do we choose? There's another option for you. A very well articulated interview that we've had with Dr. Manyika. Dr. Manyika, thank you very much for joining us today.
My honor.
I hope I'll be the first to interview you when you become Zimbabwean president.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I can promise you that you will be one of the very first.
It's all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.